So, hello. I want to do a video on health, and it's something that I've been doing a lot of research into recently, and it's literally because I've been struggling a lot with my health. Since a long time, I've realized that when I eat gluten, it completely upsets me. It makes me bloated, it makes me gassy, it can be quite embarrassing if I eat it too much. It can also be unnoticeable. I can feel like I'm superhuman and I can finally eat pizza whenever I like. But then after consuming more gluten, I realized it's just not true. I'm just like deluding myself. And since the recent, say like the last couple of years, I went through a stressful time. I ate a lot of rice, anything that was around. I do a lot of comfort eating. I do a lot of compensation with food. Like I think we all kind of do from time to time, and some of us struggle with it more than others. And it was a bad habit I got into. I put on a fair amount of weight, so I was the biggest I'd been in my life. And for me, I felt like I noticed the difference, and I felt like not healthy within myself, not comfortable moving around, not full of energy. And you can see right now, I'm quite I'm approaching this in a way of I'm not putting any makeup on. I'm not trying to create an image for this. I'm going with what I believe. And what I believe is in complete authenticity to yourself and trying to be strong enough not to hide that. And that's the hardest part. Like Brené Brown says, there's such strength in vulnerability. Right now, I even have a bit of toothpaste on my face because the spots aren't good. One of the first things I have when my health declines is it comes out on my face. Stress, too much sugar, dairy now is a massive thing for me. Gluten has always been a thing for me. And when you think about it, also a little bit alcohol. But these days I really don't drink anymore. But I used to drink a lot, and when I drank, I would smoke a lot. So I'm putting a lot of toxins into around me, in me, just like everything bad, fighting with myself when I'm already feeling run down. So when I feel down, my my plan of attack or plan of rescue to feel better is eating way too much sugar, chocolate, melted chocolate, with lots of dairy, probably some like refined food like rice and noodles or something local, something out, because I'm in Asia. So it will be some local noodles. I will get some wine, drink half a bottle of wine on my own, have my own little party, smoke lots and lots and lots and lots of cigarettes. So everything's just like destroying me. I stay up too late. I don't sleep. I'm already stressed. I'm already run down. And then I'm putting everything into my body that my body then has to deal with, and it's like attacking it. So, and my body's like screaming to me like, I just want to heal, I want to chill. And I'm like, no, fuck you. I'm just gonna like escape this. I don't want to escape this shit right now. And these are the ways that have always brought me pleasure and that I've grown up with and I really enjoy. And it's easy just to go back to that. It's comforting. It's so comforting. When I have a cigarette or something, I feel grounded. I feel comforted. When I drink some wine, I feel more relaxed. I feel confident in everything. I feel comforted. It's almost like a false sense of strength and security that it's given me. And this is something I've had to face in the last couple of months because my health is just said to me now, my body said to me, you can't do this. I'm not taking this shit anymore. This is not helping you. This is just making life ultimately more difficult for you and making you run down. I've got to the point where I developed some sinus issues. Basically, my body is quite inflamed because of the sugar feeding all the bad things in my body, because we're made up of all these bacteria. When I eat all this sugar, it's feeding the bad things. When I have lots of dairy, chocolate, sugar, dairy, I'm creating inflammation. My body's fighting it. My body's feeling sensitive. Any sort of underlying issues I'm having, they are exasperated, more and more. Like, you can get away with it sometimes, from what I've learned as well. Once you get yourself sorted, you can still enjoy the things that aren't good for you, but just 20% of the time. 80% of the time they say take care of yourself, but only when you're on a balance. So for me, I've been like doing a bit of an attack, doing a bit of an attack, doing a bit of a bit and 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 too much, and never actually just taking it down to the point where I'm good and healthy and strong. I've had a false sense of healthy, where I've been very good to myself for a limited amount of time, a couple of months at most, and then I've just like destroyed it in a moment of either just for a little bit of fun, something different to do, just to see how it feels again, or because I'm just feeling sad or stressed or lonely, or I'm going through these emotions that are difficult to deal with. So that's why I want to broach this topic, because it's almost like health is on everyone's mind, obviously, because of what's happening, but it's becoming like it is a hot topic. It has been. It's almost like the new religion, you know? Everybody has their perfect idea and ideology of what we should be eating, what we should be doing. And it's actually at the point where it's setting people against each other. People are quite aggressive, they're quite defensive. And it's like religion. Maybe the foundations are so true and there to lead people into transcendence and the true meaning of life and to be connected to one another, but they've been taken out of context and blown up and up into a point where they're just fighting each other, and it's creating a negative, hideous, just like the opposite of what it should be creating, and we've lost sight of the connections that we have within it, and that's something which we need to let go of. Like, think about things we can agree on. We can agree that health is important. When you feel good and strong within yourself, you can take on a lot of situations. Whenever you're in the middle of something that's stressful or bad for you, you lose sight of it. Have you ever had those times when everything seems to happen to you at once? So you start to feel stressed because you have too much work. You start to feel stressed because people are getting annoyed at you. You start to have a fight with someone you love and everything's coming at you and you have no sleep. You don't have time to cook. You don't have time to do the things you know you should do. And it's almost annoying to have these people saying, oh, well, you need to go meditate for 5 minutes when you wake up. You should get outside. You should do this. You should. And you're like, I know I should do that, but I can't because I've got no time. There's so many things I need to do. And I'm just meant to just fuck off outside and go for a walk just to like clear my head. Are you kidding? Because then it's just going to be even worse for me when I get back. And you just feel like you're sinking and you're trying so hard just to like get above the water, and you're just treading water, and it's a bit like that. The trouble is they're right. The trouble is you've just got yourself in, literally treading water, going crazy. When you get swept out to sea, right, if a riptide takes you, then the more you fight and the more you scramble to get back to the shore, you're literally just, you're ready to drown. You use up all your energy, the current's so strong, you can't get out of it, especially if you're swimming against it. You have to at least swim perpendicular. And it's just going to exhaust you. And it's pretty much not possible. But if you actually relax and go with it, then you can get to a point where it's calm and it's dispersed, and then you can come out of it, swim perpendicular to the shore, and then go back to where you want to be. And what we don't realize is when we're getting caught in the moment and dragged out to the deep, freaky ocean in the midst of the storm, is that when we relax and give ourselves that space that we need to reclaim our mental strength and what we need to get through this, and to reassess our situation and see it with a clarity of mind that's going to help us grow and develop and approach it in an effective, concise, productive manner, which are the things we completely lose in these moments, then we're going to be okay. We can deal with it. We can get through it. When you're trying and scrambling so much, you're just destroying yourself. So what I want to say to you is, if you're struggling with your health, if you're struggling with stress, you're feeling like you're just being submerged by all of the pressures, and you feel lost, especially in this wealth of knowledge. It's almost like, you know, in Matilda, when this film was massive years ago, I remember it so much when I was younger, because who doesn't love chocolate cake? And this boy, he's like enjoying the chocolate cake so much that the witches turn around and they're like, oh, here's a whole chocolate cake just for you. And it's like all of his Christmases came at once. And so he's eating it like, yes. And he's in front of the school, and then he finishes it and he's quite stuffed, even though he's like a chubby boy. And then they're like, here's another one. And he's like, what? And I, no, you're eating it. Because it's almost turning his pleasure into torture. And I don't know if I quoted it correctly, because I watched this like decades ago. But that has never lost my mind. That's always stayed with me, because too much of something becomes in itself destructive and poisonous, and it's almost like too much knowledge is then confusing. It's not giving you the wealth and the tools that you need to grow. It's then creating a big headache because you feel lost. One person's passionately telling you have to do this, never eat meat again in your life, for example, and another person's telling you need all the protein to be strong and you're gonna like just wither and die without it, and all this plant stuff is rubbish. And it's just like, well, then what am I meant to do? Well, what you should do, don't worry about it. Don't worry about these like hardcore extreme things. Try to just understand the general picture, listen to all sides, and then take the core values that align with you. So for me, I live majority of the time without eating meat, without consuming dairy, without consuming gluten. And I'll tell you why. I don't agree with the factory farming of animals and the way they're treated, but I don't disagree with eating meat. So I will still eat meat. I do still eat meat, but 99% of the time, if I go out to buy it, I won't buy it. Recently I bought some. I bought some Australian beef because I thought it was like reputable. And That's the first meat I've bought in quite a few months, and I did it to see if it helped with my brain fog, if I was missing some of these amino acids that they talk about. But I believe strongly in eating lots of vegetables and lots of fruit because they are good for you. It's kind of indisputable. I know that eating sugar and lots of refined carbs are bad for you because you simply don't use the energy, and the way they've been processed is really disruptive for your blood sugar and all of this. And these are just common sense core values that I know make sense, and you can't dispute them too much. We should respect animals, and even if you don't respect animals, if they're living in their own filth and they're like distressed and being pumped full of hormones and antibiotics just so that they can survive without moving their whole life before they're killed, just so you can eat them, it's gonna be crap, horrible meat to put in your body for your own welfare and for the taste. So, in that basis alone, be wary of mass-produced cheap meat. Quality, not quantity. We've just been disillusioned into, or tricked into thinking that quantity is in some way better than quality. In the like consumeristic, I won't say generation, but consumeristic, the way consumerism has taken over society, the way corporative power has become a dominating factor in all of our lives, with television, with commercials. I think it's always been a big player, but now it's just surpassed everything. So we need to remember that it's quality, not quantity, and we get confused because we get sucked into the quantity side because it's actually suppressing our emotions. I can't speak today. You can tell I don't speak much these days. So yeah, quality, not quantity. Don't worry about someone telling you that you should never eat it. Just be reasonable. You know, there are some factors like the land it takes for them to live on, the water it takes to grow the food to feed them is much more than if you were just to eat vegetables. So if you're worried about the environmental aspect, then it can be quite exhaustive on environmental resources to eat too much meat. So in that respect also, just enjoy it. Enjoy the quality, but less if it's something you want to do. Think about it like that. Just try to like rationalize it. People get too heated about all or nothing. And then think about the refined foods, like carbohydrates, what you're really using them for. So most of them are just bulking out your meal. If you're eating a lot of rice, you're eating a lot of pasta, things like that. It's really quite enjoyable, but it's just more bulking out your meals. So what they say is that the way the wheat is produced now is that it's produced to grow a lot quicker and shorter. So the amount of gluten inside of it is far more than it ever used to be. And this is something that's really difficult for our bodies to tolerate. We're just not used to it. And when you eat that all of the time, it can become quite problematic. Dairy is, I would say, possibly lots more traumatic for the animals than normal meat industry farming, because think about it. They have to have a baby to produce milk. They don't get to have a happy, magical life with that baby. So they're traumatized every time that baby is made and taken away from them. And also the hormones, the things that are put into these cows, means that the milk isn't like it used to be. It's not like you have a mother cow in a field and you're taking your bucket and you're milking her and bringing back the fresh milk to the family. Sadly, it's not like that anymore. So that's why people are getting so crazy about don't eat meat, don't eat dairy. So that's why I think it's our responsibility to be aware of it. I'm not going to hate on anybody or even claim that I'm never going to consume that, but I'm aware that it's consciously, it's a conscious moral obligation that I feel to follow a life that doesn't adhere to these types of practices. And these sort of things come out on me when I do these things. So it's obviously not good for me. So understanding yourself, understanding what you believe in. So think about the cause, think about does it upset me about these animals? Am I worried about putting hormones and antibiotics into my body because it disrupts my hormones, it disrupts my immune system? Think about it from this side. Do I worry about the planet? Do I know that I actually get more exhausted when I eat too much sugar, too many refined things? And then kind of or do I eat a lot of, if I have a really nice ice cream, oh, I love ice cream, and does it then make my stomach bloated and do I get like an upset tummy? Does it like go straight through me and it's like, oh, this isn't good for you? Think about the signs that your body is telling you. Body's still telling you. Think about the core things that you believe in, that you want to stand up for, that you want to follow. And think about what you know is good for you. And sometimes what is good for you is difficult to switch to because you've become acclimatized to eating the things that are bad for you, to living in the lifestyle that's bad for you. It's in its own way soothing, and it's almost like a comfortable discomfort where you don't realize how bad it is because you're in the groove of it. So you're in the groove of eating unhealthily, having that sugar spike to get you through, having another sugar spike to get you through, being a bit constipated, for example, and not ever shitting too much. It can be something that you have your mojo, you have your way of life around it, and to try and like eat healthily, suddenly maybe it's a bit of an overload for your body. Maybe things are going through you a bit because it's kick-starting this process again, it's waking up your gut, or maybe you have a parasitic overgrowth inside you from the natural organisms that are part of you, the microorganisms, the bacteria. Maybe that's disrupted and then it starts to die off, so it gives you like flu-like symptoms. It makes you feel really crappy as it's kind of fighting, it's kind of trying to make you go back to your old habits. It's giving you intense sugar cravings, things like this. You're not dealing with your emotions and you try to take out your comforters and you feel like you're crumbling from it. We don't realize how emotionally attached we are to eating. I think we try not to address it as something so powerful within our lives. We try to pretend that it's not so bad. We try to like excuse it out. Oh, I only had a chocolate bar. Oh, I only did this. Oh, I'm gonna eat healthily most of the time, but I'm going out with my friends tonight. Things like this. So in a way, we are just excusing ourselves. The way we are distracting ourselves. That we are not accepting the strength, courage, determination, commitment, and setbacks and recoveries that it takes to move on to a better place in our lives, a better way of living, a better health, a better strength, better mental clarity. And the way we do that, or the reason we do that, is because we've lost touch of how good we can really feel. We forget how it is to be truly healthy and strong. We've forgotten the last time that we were completely sharp and with it, that we didn't enjoy these things. And we are living in a bit of disillusion, because I kept a diary. I'm looking right now at my makeshift diary. It's basically a piece of paper I stuck on my wall. I drew a chart in it. I wrote down all the days of the month for a couple of months, and I put a smiley face when I ate well. That means like I had no gluten, had no dairy, had no sugar. Put a smiley face. And then when I ate badly, I put a cross. And turns out that in my mind, I ate bad for like one day. And maybe a little bit of the cheeky morning the day after. No, it was like 4 days. 5 days. And I'm like, no way. In my head, it's like, I'm healthy. Oh, chocolate one night. Melted chocolate marshmallows. I guess we'll talk about this. And then that's it. That's my little break. And then I'm going to eat healthy again. Or maybe the break was a little bit more of a 2-day break than a 1-day break, because I had a bit left over, you know. But then I make myself do my crosses on my calendar, and then I go and look at it, and then I realize, oh, there's like 5 days of crosses, and there's only just over a week of smiley faces after 2 or 3 days of crosses. And then I start to get a true perspective on how I'm living. And that's something that is the hardest part, is to be honest with yourself and to face yourself and your capabilities, not even your capabilities, but how you're actually living. And the thing is, we all are very supportive and loving to one another, almost too much. So if someone's getting a bit fat, if someone's like eating too much crap, we're kind of happy to jump on the bandwagon with them. We're kind of happy to be like, oh, I feel the same as you. It's kind of comforting as well, and it's easier, and it's bonding to share the same problems with somebody, to be like, oh, I know what you mean, I ate too much, I'm feeling quite fluffy, as my friend liked to call it. That was the best one. Feeling a bit too fluffy. And it's nice to sort of be in it together. There's nothing more bonding than going through a tough time, knowing that you're sharing it with somebody. It's much better than if everything's just like too good. So we're almost too kind to each other, in the sense that we don't say, no, it's not good. It's a sign. Sort yourself out. I'm going to sort myself out too. Let's do the tough stuff. Let's fix ourselves. Because, like, I spoke to a friend the other day, and he literally just spurred me on and gave me so much energy and motivation. And I haven't even spoken to him for 6 years. So it was awesome to be back in touch with him. And he kept saying to me, I'm not telling you anything new. I'm not telling you things you don't already know. I'm not telling you things that you don't know are going to be better for you, but I'm telling you have to do it. I'm telling you that your life is this moment right now. The memories of the past, the dreams of the future, that's just what they are. Your life moment is always going to be right now. And you owe it to yourself. You literally owe it to yourself to be the best, strongest, happiest that you can be, and to do the things that are right for you. And I was also watching a video by Sarah I want to reference her, but I can't remember her name correctly. Sarah Mead. She talks a lot of her videos about PCOS and recovering naturally from that. It's something that she suffered with a lot, and basically used healing through diet and also self-healing of the soul. A lot of issues energetically and to do with traumas from the past that you suppressed. Basically just like uncovering your wounded inner child, a lot of emotional healing, because like I just said before, your food is linked to the feeling of safety and your emotions. So you're thinking, oh, what am I meant to do then? You have to start addressing these issues, being honest with yourself about the lifestyle you're leading right now, the hurt and pain that you didn't want to face, didn't know how to face, or never even realized you weren't facing because it was so normal. Maybe you grew up in a situation where people weren't openly talking about their feelings. They weren't saying to you, hey, what's wrong? Or it's okay to not be okay. And should we talk about it? Or I can't fix anything, but I'm here for you. Maybe I can help you understand it and realize that you do have the answers within yourself and you are strong enough to get through it. And when you're not, I'm going to be here for you, helping you. And that's something that we're kind of starting to open up to and put out there for everybody to realize, which is a really cool thing about this modern day technology and the internet and YouTube and everything like that, is that now we have that voice and connection to tell each other what we've always needed to hear, and we didn't even realize it. So we have all of that. Yeah, so you can't just think that I'm gonna take away all the crap from my diet and everything's gonna magically be okay. You have to face yourself. You have to give yourself love. You have to go back into the past, find out the things that have, I don't want to say traumatized you, but things that have they've shaped the way you see the world. They've had a massive impact on you, because especially when you're young, you're so impressionable and you don't know anything else. So if something upsetting, something of a magnitude in your life, because your life is very, very small when you're a child, you know? Your parents are like God. And in the perfect world, that's the scariest and worst thing, is when they set you a boundary or get angry at you. But so many things can happen outside of that, or even from that, which are horrible. And even if it's on a small level or a big level, it is something that hasn't yet entered your world, hasn't entered your bubble, something negative. And then when it does, that's going to shape the way you see the world, and it's going to shape how you react to it. So whether you've experienced many things from a young age, or whether you've experienced not so much or a couple of big things from an older age or younger age, however it is, these things have taught you about the world. They've taught you about what will come into your world and happen to you. They teach you about how you are able to handle it. If something bad happens to you and then no one's there for you, you're left thinking that you're alone. There's nobody that you can rely on. There's nobody that you can look to. If something bad happens to you and then you're told it's your fault, then you're going to be left feeling like, you're not good enough. What's wrong with me? Why do bad things happen to me? If something happens to you and the people that you love did it, you're going to think, there's no one I can trust. In the place I felt safest, there is no safety. Bad things happen to me. And these things are extremely deep-seated deep-rooted. They become the foundations of who we are. And they're very uncomfortable to face, to acknowledge, to break out of the cycle of replicating it. We either replicate self-loathing and hate, where we're not good enough. We want to destroy ourselves in a powerful, controlling way before someone else does it for us. Or we follow the self-destructive cycle in hope of somehow fixing it, replicating the very first thing that pained us, thinking that somehow we can solve that without realizing it was never our problem to solve. The problem is that being in these cycles and seeing the world from this point of view passes that on to other people, passes that on to the next generation. So if from my bubble at a young age, someone came in and told me I wasn't good enough and treated me in a way that made me feel like it's all my fault and bad things happen to me, I'm not good enough. It means I'm either going to go into relationships where I'm always not good enough, or if I'm in a relationship where it is good for me, I feel like, but I'm not good enough. I need to destroy this. Somehow, a bit of a self-sabotage thing. It can come out in many different ways, and the point is that will then push onto other people, reflect onto other people, entering into a toxic relationship where I'm feeding this like unworthiness from both sides, or I'm destroying what is healthy. Either way, our cycles are reflecting out into the world, just in the same way that if you wake up on the right side of bed, the bright side, and you feel awesome, and you go out into the world, you give someone a really big smile, and then they give one back to you, and you have a great day. Or if you go up on the wrong side of bed and you don't even want to get out of bed, and then you go and see that same person, but you scowl at them, you bump into them, you experience a completely different day. It's the same with our lives, and that's why it doesn't take away from anything that happens to you. It doesn't make it okay. It doesn't solve any of that, but it just starts to alleviate the pain that you are putting onto yourself, and it starts to create a cycle of healing which we are then generating to one another, and just ultimately making the world a better place to live in, and not inflicting that onto the future generations, which is, we owe it to ourselves and to them. I mean, you know how it felt, and you know how it feels when this pain comes back to you, and that's why you don't want to face it. And should another person feel that? Should the next generation go through it? Should we be encouraging that to be in the world? Or should we be going out of our way to heal it and to move beyond that and to grow? And now we are in a perfect situation where we're more connected to each other than we ever have been. So instead of pushing out our insecurities, pushing out our fears, creating hate, reflecting and deviating from what's really there, we can face it. We can draw strength from one another, understanding, stories, ways to feed our health, ways to feed our mind, ways to feed our spirit. We can rejoice in our differences, and in like the way that I want to think of an awesome example. The way that there's like 1,000 different flavors of ice cream. We all love ice cream. We don't hate on anyone for having a different flavor preference. It's the same with our lives, you know? It's awesome. There's so many different ways to do things. And it's awesome that we can try out something different when we grow and develop and we need something new to fit us. You know, we're always moving, we're always changing, we're always growing, and it's just interesting. It's exciting. It's like what happens, and we should always think of that as a positive and not as a negative. We shouldn't use that as an excuse to fight against each other, to somehow think that somebody's not good enough or they're not doing it correctly or it's not quite right, and then it's something that you have to create such a negative about. Instead, you can just think, that's me. That's literally me. I was that person at one point. I could easily be that person at another point. If you start to see yourself in other people, it will make you a lot more understanding and a lot more compassionate, because there are people that want to make themselves happy and they put all the pressure on themselves. I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to make myself happy. And there's people that want to be happy and they go and they do something nice for somebody else and share in the happiness. It's completely different. And you need a balance, because I know I just spent a lot of it talking about self-healing and focusing on yourself and doing what's right for you, but you need that in harmony with doing the right thing for other people or putting out the right love and energy to other people. I think if you see somebody else as you, so we are amazing at giving our best friends advice, being the number one person for the people we love the most, okay? So if your best friend or your loved one's there and you're like, okay, you could tell them everything they should do and you know wholeheartedly how it would help and change their lives, and you can see the silly patterns or cycles they're in, the way they're chasing an unhealthy relationship or drinking too much or not quite eating all the healthy food, or telling you all the time, I want to do this, so I need to do that, or I haven't got around to doing this yet, and you feel like just like slapping around the head and saying, just get on with it. And we're great at thinking someone else should do that, and we're great at loving them anyway, but we're not so great at doing that to ourselves, and simultaneously we're not so great at doing that to a stranger. So that's something that we just need to realize, is that the person we love more than anything in the world, as perfect and flawed as they are, that person that we'd love so much to do everything they know is right for them, and regardless of all this, we love them anyway, because we know the heart's in the right place. That person is also us, and that person is also that other one that we don't know. We're just all at different stages of the life, all at different points of understanding. We all have been, and well, don't say we all will be, but we all have been completely ignorant, stupid, naive, aggressive, angry, hateful. We have been all of these things. It's just that that other person has helped us either to come out of it and grow, or to grow further into it and get a bit lost. So that's why it's also important who you align with, what information you're taking in, and getting the clarity on the inside to process this abundance of information and everything coming at you. So in total, getting in touch with your core values is what's important. Taking the time out, going for that walk when you're feeling too stressed, coming back, finding the things that that resonate with you. Finding the peace in your mind and doing the things that you know you should do. So if you've ever heard yourself saying, oh, I've always meant to do that, or I should do that, or I want to do that, but I don't have the time. If you ever said yourself say that more than 2 or 3 times, that's what you more than anything should be doing. And you should write that down and just make it your priority, because there is not a I don't have time, there is a what I prioritize for my time. And you can prioritize the things that are stressful or bad for you, like doing the wrong things. Imagine how much time we waste on social media or repeating our bad cycles. And imagine how much time we think we don't have for doing the things that we know will basically help us. And it can be that simple, but we have to let go of the creation of all the chaos, which is quite fun and distracting and like a bit of a theatrical movie around us, to take us away from the reality which we're so scared to face, and just to keep it simple and be honest with ourselves. And if you can somehow cherry pick something that resonated with you from that waffle that I felt like I needed to put out there, then go for it and just make the day the best day for you, exactly how you know it should be. And open up your mind to getting in touch with everything, yourself, others, seeing it in that simplistic, authentic, natural form as it should be, like me, with my skin outbreak and my toothpaste on my face, which I totally want to, what's the opposite of the word I'm looking for? I totally want to, so brain, I need to switch back on with this. So I've been getting a lot of brain fog also, and it's from the sinuses, I've been getting a lot of headaches. I have like swollen polyps, my sinuses are inflamed. It's been hard to sleep for the last couple of months just because I can't breathe properly at night at times. Actually, when I went through a really healthy phase, and I was eating like only vegetables, I was eating like a lot of fruit in the morning, then just like tons of vegetables, and I went through, like, I felt a little bit sick. I was getting like a feverish face, and it wasn't this COVID-19 thing. I mean, I've been inside during this for like nearly 3 months now, so this was well throughout this was very dietary related. I was drinking a lot of raw garlic throughout the day and eating a lot of papaya seeds because basically I was quite certain I had parasites. And I went to a holistic lady, and she saw it in my eyes, and I just like denied it. And I've taken these pills every so often because I've been around Asia for a long time. And then I did a lot of research, and actually there's quite a few cycles of parasites. So even if you take these pills and you think that you fixed it, you probably haven't, because then they'll just come straight back again, or their eggs or the things that they release will then regrow in your body. And like, have you ever had whiteness on your tongue, especially at the back? It's basically an overgrowth of candida or something like this in your body, and it's similar to like parasites, and it's attacking your body in the same type of way, and all these things are feeding inflammation in your body. So I've been learning a lot about this, and I was getting these classic die-off symptoms for a while, and then it's like I got through it and I started to feel better than ever. I was waking up just before around the sunrise, I was having more energy, I was springing around, and then I just crashed. I think I just had such a hard, I was literally dreaming about chocolate, and I didn't want it to be so hardcore to never eat it again. But it just kind of opened the door and I went back into it hardcore, and then the stress got on top of me, and it just felt like a avalanche when I climbed so beautifully up high. And it happens. I've also been studying a lot of psychology, and CBT is really fantastic. It's something you should definitely look into. And there's a cognitive there's a wheel of change in CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Basically, it's like you think about changing, you have the intention of changing, you go through changing, you put in some motion, you change, you do well, and then you relapse. And you just keep going, and it's how you develop and it's how you change. And we're so hardcore on ourselves, and we're so kind of ready to excuse ourselves as well, that when we fall off and we crash, we're like, oh, I failed, that's it. I'm going back to everything I did before. This was just a load of bollocks anyway. You know, I'm happier how I always have been. Why am I going to ruin my life just to like try something out? Why would I want to be miserable when I'm enjoying my life right now, even if my health kind of sucks? That's the excuses we tell ourselves, because we don't realize how awesome it is on the other side, and that you don't actually need alcohol, cigarettes, or fast food to make you feel good. You just need to fucking love the life that you live and to feel awesome in your body. So I'm telling you right now, there's a part within yourself that knows that is true, because we were all young once and we've all felt this at some point throughout our lives. And I don't know what to say to you if you never have, but innately we know there's so much more. That's why we're never ever satisfied, ever. That's why we get these binge eating disorders. That's why we drink until we're blind drunk and pass out on the floor. That's why when shit hits the fan, we just want to scream and shout at everyone, you know? It's because within ourselves we are not unified, we're not calm, we're not settled, we're not what we should be. And we know it, and we're fighting against it, and we're suppressing it, and we're trying to shut down that voice. And that voice is coming back with a vengeance to bite us in the ass, and it's coming out physically, hormonally, subliminally, toxically. When we have the strength and the certainty and just the desire, when we realign ourselves to facing that, then we're on the right path. And we can do it together. And that about sums it up, really. So take care of yourselves. Have an awesome time. Sending you lots of love. And yeah, put out there something that's going to help us all grow, because as much as we've forgotten it, we're finally starting to realize how connected we are. And it's awesome.